Hello YouTubers, this is Alaska Prepper, and we are going to do the fourth B of the 5 B's of prepping. Now, as you all know, the first B is beans, the second B is band-aids, the third B is bullets, and the fourth B is bullion. And what does bullion stand for? This right here. Precious metals. Not only precious metals, but like I said on my last video, I needed a B to make it a 5 B's, so I came up with bullion. So before I start on my discussion about precious metals and monetary assets that you can have to protect yourself, I'm just going to lead off by saying that the importance that I find about the 5 B's is that to be prepared, you don't only concentrate on one thing. There's a hierarchy in which you prepare from the most important things, like the first B, which is beans, and it stands for food. And food and water and nutrition are, to me, the most important things to be prepared with. If you haven't started preparing, it's the first thing you should prepare with. Why is that? Because every human has biological need, which is air, food, water, shelter. In order to stay warm and not die from exposure, you need food, obviously, you need calories, you need nutrition, you need water. Okay, so this here I chose to use as the fourth because once you've got your food, your medical supplies or medical needs, and your protection covered, you should try to protect your financial wealth and your financial stability. And as always, I'm going to try to make this video quick. It's going to be somewhat informative, but of course, do your own research. I am by no means am I any kind of financial advisor. I'm just letting you guys know what I do to try to hedge myself against the financial catastrophe that I see that our country is turning into, or that I see that we are going to be facing in the future if our country continues to do what it's doing as far as how it spends money and the rate at which it borrows money to spend it, and then have pretty much nothing to show for it except debt that is being passed on to your children. Believe it or not, if you have a child today, that child will be born with about $62,000 worth of debt. What does that mean? Does that mean that when the child is born, the government's going to send that child a check? Excuse me, not a check. I wish. A bill for $62,000? No. What that means is that in the future, when your child is of working age, your child will be on the hook for that money. And how will your child pay for that money that is owed to the government? By paying taxes, of course. And the higher that we go in debt, the more that we go in debt, the more taxes that the government wants to collect from us in order for that debt to be not even paid off, but just maintained. So the maintenance on the debt right now that we have in this country is around $30 to $50 billion a month. If we didn't borrow one more penny and interest rates stayed at where they're at right now, our country pays anywhere between $30 to $50 billion of interest payments every month. All right, so just think about that. Try to wrap your head around that. I've always heard a lot of people say, and I agree with it, that if we ran our financials the way that our government runs its financials, that we'd all be bankrupt. And that's true. And believe it or not, our government is bankrupt. We had a government shutdown not too long ago. And a lot of people that work for the government get scared and say, oh my God, the government's going to shut down. Who's going to pay the soldiers? Who's going to pay the government workers? Well, what people don't understand about a government shutdown, what a government shutdown is, it's not that the government runs out of money. The government takes in approximately $300 billion a month in tax revenue. $300 billion a month. Okay? What a government shutdown is the government admitting to the American people that it can no longer borrow money, because the government, in order to get by, borrows around $2 billion a day. So we run about a $550 to $700 billion deficit a year, which comes to about $2 billion a day. So the next time that you hear government shutdown, it's not that the government ran out of money. It's that the government can no longer borrow money because the debt ceiling has not been met, or because the debt ceiling has not been raised in order for the government to borrow more money. So that's what a government shutdown is, in my opinion. Because when a government shut down, guess what? When you wake up the next morning, the sun still comes out, right? The roads are still there. If the government shuts down, the roads don't go away. The schools don't go away. The stores don't close. Everything is still there. It's just that the government can't borrow any more money. So personally, I think that when the government shuts down, it's a good thing, because the government can't borrow any more money and squander it away. So let's talk about silver. Silver is one of the things that I use to preserve my wealth. And what is wealth? A lot of people think wealth is, oh, you have a lot of money. No, wealth comes in different forms. But to me, what wealth really is time. When you go and punch a clock, what are you trading? You are trading your time, number one, and your skill, number two, for whatever your boss is giving you. And most of the time, your boss is paying you with this, with fiat. Now, what does fiat mean? Fiat means, I know I'm not going to be quoting this from the dictionary, but fiat means let it be. Fiat means that someone is saying, just go ahead and do it. It's by decree. Someone is saying, go ahead and print X number of these and let it be. This is the lawful currency in this nation. How is that? Because someone in power says it. Not because it's worth anything, not because it's backed by anything, but just because someone said, this is what we're going to use as lawful currency. Does it mean that it has any value? Sure, it has as much value as anyone wants to put on it. So how much do you trust that this is going to buy you what you need? That's the value behind it. Now let's take a look at this. What is this? This is a silver dollar. This is 0.999% pure silver, American Silver Eagle. It has 1 pure troy ounce of silver in it. This was mined out of the earth. It was refined. It was minted. And it was transported to wherever it is that you buy it from. In my case, the local coin vendor. We have a rare coin vendor here that sells silver eagles. So this has capital behind it. Someone actually had to get capital, buy equipment, hire people, spend money on fuel and all sorts of different equipment to be able to cut into the earth and to be able to mine it and then send it off to get purified and then send it off to get minted. This was just minted, was just printed pretty much in a giant printing machine. So what makes this have more value than this? Well, I'll tell you a quick story about when this started to lose its value. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was passed, and in 1914, the Federal Reserve Note was created. Now, in the beginning, it wasn't a Federal Reserve Note. It was a silver certificate, which meant that in 1914, one of these could get you one of these. Okay? So in 1914, $1 silver certificate was exchangeable for 1 ounce of silver. Really, it was a little less than an ounce of silver, but I'm using an ounce of silver as an example. But an actual dollar is measured in grains of silver, which comes out to be about 3 to 4 grams less than 1 troy ounce. Okay, but this is what I've got handy right here. Is this 1 ounce? All right, but it was technically just a little bit less than an ounce. Okay, so back then you can trade $1. You can go to the bank, give them a $1 silver certificate, and they would give you a silver coin. Okay, so today it takes this many dollars to get the exact same silver coin. It used to take one of these, now it takes all of these to get the exact same thing. Now, why is that? Did this silver become any better in the last 100 and plus years, 103, 104 years? Is this silver different? Did it change its properties? Did it change its table in the elements? You know, in the table of elements, did it change its position to a greater position where it gives it more value? No, the silver is exactly the same. What happened is that these are now more plentiful in our financial system than what they used to be. Because before they used to be backed, $1 used to be backed by 1 ounce of silver. Now these dollars are not backed by anything. So supply and demand teaches you that the more that you have of something, the less that it's worth. So the more dollars that are printed and inflated into our financial system, the less that they're worth. And how is that proven? Well, I just told you, it used to only take $1 to buy an ounce of silver. Now it takes nearly 20. The spot price as of Friday was around $16.50, but with premiums, it's almost $20 to buy an ounce of silver, which is still a great deal, I think. Okay, so how would you like to hedge your wealth? Would you like to hedge it with something that retains its value, or would you like to hedge it with something that loses its value? In 100 years, if I took all of these dollar bills and put them in a coffee can, and I took this 1 silver coin and put it in a coffee can, and I opened both of them in 100 years, which one do you think would have more value? That's if these guys right here weren't deteriorated and turned into dust. I don't even know if they would have any value. I don't even know if they would exist. In the history of mankind, there has been over 599 fiat currencies. And every single one of those fiat currencies reverted to their original value of 0. Every fiat currency in the history of mankind has gone to 0 value. And you can find this anywhere. Get on Google, get on Wikipedia, get anything out, any kind of educational material out that's not printed by the government, and you will find the truth. Now, what is inflation? A lot of people say, well, inflation is when the price of something goes up. And no, that is not inflation. Inflation is when the money supply is made bigger by fiat. The price of things going up is a symptom of inflation. So the more money that is floating around our financial system, the less that it is worth, because there's nothing backing it up. So you make your choice. What would you rather have? Would you rather have something that retains its value, or something that can be printed out of thin air just because someone says so, and the only people that get the benefit out of that value are the first users, whom are usually the large banks and the large corporations who get to borrow billions at almost 0% interest, while you and I pay a lot higher interest rate. So the system is kind of backwards. And I'm not here trying to come up with a way that we can save the system, because I don't think it's savable. I think that before our system gets better, it's going to have to get a lot worse. And that's why I decide to protect my wealth, to protect all of the capital that I've invested with my time and my skills in something that's going to preserve my wealth. That way, if one day these guys go away, I know that this is still worth something and I can get something for it, and I know that people will take it. Now, I have a subscriber that's from Venezuela, and I hope that that subscriber is listening to this video, and I would really, really like it if you told us what you can get for one of these in Venezuela right now, for one of these silver coins. I heard that in Venezuela right now, a 1 ounce silver round can get you about 2 to 3 months worth of food, of groceries. And I would love it if you would let us know in the comments if that's true or not, or what it can get you, or if this even has any value. Does silver or precious metal even have any value in Venezuela right now? Could you please let us know in the comment section? We would really appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and just give you one quick example of how silver retains its value, just in case you haven't gotten it by now. And then I'm going to go ahead and shut this video off because I'm going over on time. So in 1964, which was the last year that the U.S. minted coins out of silver, for example, a 1964 quarter is made up of 90% silver and 10% copper, okay? In 1965, the government stopped doing that. They stopped minting quarters and dimes and half dollars out of silver, with the exception of the half dollar, which was minted from 65 to 79, but at a reduced silver rate of 40%. But in 1964 was the last year that any 90% silver coins were minted. Well, in 1964, 5 silver quarters, which is about 1 ounce of silver, would get you about 5 gallons of gasoline. Okay? So $1.25 in 1964 would get you about 5 gallons of gasoline. Would one of these dollars and one of our new quarters that are made pretty much out of copper and zinc get you 5 gallons of gasoline today? No, it would get you probably just a little over 1/3 of a gallon. One of these would get you 5 gallons of gasoline. So silver has maintained its value. I can go to my coin shop tomorrow, I can cash this in, and I can go get 5 gallons of gasoline. And I live in Alaska, where gasoline is a lot more expensive than in the lower 48. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with that. There's a lot of other things that you can store your value in. I believe that food and water and medicine and protection should come first. I'm not going to get into cryptocurrencies, all right, like Bitcoin and stuff like that, because this is not a cryptocurrency channel. However, I believe in cryptocurrencies a lot. I believe that cryptocurrencies will be the future of money because it is a trustless system, just like this. This coin is trustless. What do I mean by that? It means that when I give you this coin, you don't have to worry about someone promising you that it's going to be worth something, because it's worth something. This is not debt. This is actual money. This is a debt. This is debt. It even says it in the name. It says note. This is a debt. This is someone promising you that you will be able to get something with this in the future. No one has to promise you that you'll be able to get something with this. This is real money. And like I said, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Litecoin, that's going to be the future of money. It's like the internet was back in 1994, 96. But it's the internet of money. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go with that. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. It's probably going to take all night to upload. If you guys have any questions about this, or if you want me to talk more in depth about this, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to do a few, 4 or 5 videos covering, monetary instruments, and even covering a little bit of cryptocurrencies, if you guys would like. I hope you all had a good weekend. We will see you next time. Take care. Many blessings. Alaska Prepper out.